Hey, what up everyone, Hortin here, and welcome to this first tutorial on Unity. So for this tutorial, I'm gonna really stick to the basics. I'm gonna show you how to create a new project, how to save a scene, how to work with game objects. In this case, we're gonna just be using some cubes and a couple of others like cylinders and pills, but well, you're gonna see this later. And also I'm going to show you how to customize the editor's layout so it's easier for you to find every tool and all of that. So let's get started. First of all, we have to go to the Unity side, which I'm gonna leave the link in the description just to download if you haven't already downloaded the editor. So we're gonna go to Get Unity now, and in here you're gonna see some options. We have the paid ones and the free one. So if you really want to get something and say like, oh, I want to make my own game studio, I want to make video games for life, you will probably want to check some of these options, but I will strongly recommend you to stick with the personal edition just to get started because there is really no point on starting spending money when you can just use Unity personal edition and start everything. So you are gonna click in here to download the installer, and then you know how installers works nowadays. You just click next, 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 and you are done. So we're gonna head back and start Unity. And once you start it, the first window you are gonna get it's this one, or at least something like this, because you're probably not getting any of this. So we're gonna go to new to create a new project, and we're gonna call this tutorial one, and we're gonna keep it in 3D, even though we can make it 2D in some sort of way. So just for the sake of this tutorial, we're gonna take it as a 3D one, and we're gonna go to create project. And as you see, it just created some folder in my desktop, and it just launched. So well, this is actually my layout, the one I usually use to while coding or while using Unity, but you're probably going to get something like this. So first of all, the tools we can see in Unity are pretty basic. There is the extrude tool, which allows us to move. Well, you know what? I'm gonna show you this using the game objects as I was telling you. So we're gonna go right click, create 3D object, and we're gonna select the cube one. So we have it in here and done. So as you can see, we have this inspector tab, which just displayed a lot of information. But if we click anywhere around where it's not any of these three options, it just disappears. So if we click on our cube, we're gonna see all of this information, which is actually our cube's components and values. For example, we have the position value, which we can change it from here, or just change value like 5 or something. I'm gonna stick this 0 just so you can see it. We have also the rotation one, which we can rotate in X, Y, and Z axis. And our scale tool. I mean our scale option. Oh my gosh. Yep. We have the mesh filter. You don't really want to mess with this one because it is like the component that says how it's going to look like. So we're gonna hide this for this for this moment. We also have our box collider, which basically it's like the body of our cube. What I mean is like if we just don't have a box collider and you go running straight to this cube, you are not gonna crash with it. It basically does not exist. You can just look at it. It's like an aerogram. We have also our mesh renderer, which is in charge of showing us different kind of things like how it's going to react to light, how the shadows are going to be casted by the cube, and we also have our material, which for now it's just like the default one. So we have our cube. Some of the tools we're gonna be using the most are, for example, the hand tool, which it's going to allow us to move in the scene for um, whatever the place we want to go. I'm actually not really familiar with this one because I don't really use it. I I think it's more natural and a little bit more comfortable to just be moving around with our mouse. For example, giving the right click, it's going to allow you to rotate the view of where you are looking to. Um, the middle button, or that small zoom in zoom out, it's going to allow you to get the zoom in zoom out. I guess that's pretty usual for you. We can also click in the central button just to move around, just as we can do with this hand tool. And um, that's basically all. And with our left click, we can just click and select one or multiple objects, as you can see. So we can also have this, which is this second tool, which you can access even by clicking in here or by clicking your W key, which will allow you to move the objects in the X, Y, and Z um, axis. Just as you can see, you can play around with that. I'm gonna move it back to 0, 0, 0 because that's the best position I can actually ask for. We have our rotate tool, which allows, as you can see, to rotate the object in the three axis, just like in here. So we're gonna set that to 0 once again. And we also have this tool, which is like an extrude tool. So we can make bigger our objects, just like moving the scale in here. So I'm gonna move this back to 111 and show you the last tool, which is this little square in here. So for this one, it's actually pretty different to the other tools because it will allow us to get a little bit more precise movements, like for example to move just one side or things like that. So that's with our cubes. We can also use, if we go to our hierarchy and click create capsule, we will have this capsule in here, which actually as the same as our cube. You can just move around and change its width, its height, and other values to be interacting with. So that is the basic tools you're gonna be using, because almost everything in the editor, like in here, it's going to be like go to game scene to see how it's gonna look, go to the scene and move it a little bit because you don't really like how it looks, um, or just selecting the objects to move its components. So Now that we just settled that, we can just go and play a little bit with these shapes. We also have a cylinder, a plane, a quad, ragdolls, terrains. We're gonna be looking at these four last ones in uh, the next series, which is going to be more dedicated to 3D development with Unity. But for now, we're just going to stick with these ones that are the easier to be working with. So, yeah, we once we've seen this, we're gonna save the scene. So how do we do this? We just go to File, Save Scene, and I really recommend to have a little bit of order because if you don't, you're gonna get a mess and you're probably not going to find every single thing you will want. So I'm going to create a new folder and call it scenes. And in here, I'm going to save my scene one. So you can see that a folder just appeared in here. And if I go there, I will have my scene number one. So once we have this, we can just go to File and create new scene, and that's done. So we have a brand new scene with nothing in it but our main camera and the direction light. So we're gonna go back to our scene number one, and we are going to modify a little bit the layout on how you're looking at it. I will strongly recommend this because you are going to get used um, to Unity in a single way because believe me, not everyone is comfortable with this way to see the editor. I'm actually not that comfortable. I'm not sure. I just like it in another way. So I'm gonna share with you my custom layout which I usually prefer to be using. So first of all, it's the asset store, which I don't really use that much, but you trust me, you can find a lot of really cool assets, even the free ones and um, the ones that are to buy. Like you can come here and search, for example, a character control and you're gonna get a lot of different assets that you can just download. So you can move to free if you want it, and you're gonna get a lot of those in here. But um, even though there are a lot of free assets, I would really recommend you to do your own because trust me, the thing with doing your own assets, it's you just feel like well, everything is yours, so it makes you happier. So for this I'm gonna close this tab because I'm not gonna be using it. If you want to be using it, you want to give it a try, you can just enter there, put it wherever you want. You can also go to the asset store using Internet Explorer. I'm gonna share that link in the description as well. So right now, we're going to start modifying our layout. To modify it or to move it, you just have to get this small thing on the top. And for me, I'm gonna move it in here. I'm gonna make this one lower. I'm going to take the console panel in here, and that's basically the layout I use the most. So you can just get to move the editor as however you actually like it, or you're comfortable on how it looks. And once you got that, you can just come in here in this tab and click to save layout. You click you just write the name you want it, like my custom layout, and click save, and there you have it. So we used to have this layout, And right now we have our custom layout, which is this one. So that's going to be all for tutorial number one. In the next tutorial, I'm going to be showing you um, how to start your first 2D project and some 2D physics as well, and also how to rotate and move a little bit the objects. So, if you like this tutorial, please leave it a like. If you have any comments, I will be pleased and I will totally read every single comment you give me. And well, that's everything for this one, and I will see you in the next one.